Okay, gang, we're going to talk about different types of currency. And the first thing we're going to start with is something that's not a currency at all. In traditional societies, so we mean older societies typically that haven't discovered farming, although they may have some light farming or herding, they didn't carry money with them. Why not? They were nomadic. It's kind of hard to lug gold bars with you wherever you go, and they didn't have good, safe places to store them because their lives required that they pick up and move very often. So because of that, they participated in trade without currency. And here is an example of that. So if I come to you and I want a chicken dinner, I'm going to have to trade you my goat. Or if I need some goat skin, I'm going to have to trade you some chickens. So you make an agreement, and that agreement is trade without currency. The thing about it is, these are not regular items. Your goat may be larger or smaller than another goat. Your chicken may lay eggs or be fatter or whatever. So barter was not a very efficient way of doing business. Also, if you have a bunch of chickens you want to trade but you don't want a goat, you may have to make several different transactions in order to get the product that you actually do want. So people began to realize that it was a lot easier if you had something stand in for currency. The other nice thing about this was people became settled. So let's move down here and take a look. Commodity money is next. Commodity money is money that has intrinsic value. So it's something that you would consume or use or enjoy. So here are some pictures of commodity money. The Romans used salt and gold. The Aztecs and Mayans used chocolate. And what's nice about commodity money is you can trade it, it has a recognizable value, and even if the government were to collapse, people still need salt for adding flavor to food or preserving meats. People still need gold that's valued because it's beautiful, useful for jewelry, and doesn't disappear or go bad. Finally, so, you take the salt, you either trade it or you use it for your own purposes, which also is valuable. Well, the problem with commodity money is, in the case of cocoa beans, they can spoil. In the case of gold bars, they can be a little bit heavy and sort of make you a clear mark for getting robbed. So governments decided to make something that was a little bit easier. So as people became more settled, governments began to back currency that represented certain amounts of salt and cocoa and gold, and that was known as fiat money. So fiat money is money that has value because it's backed by a government. Here you see some money from the Roman Republic. Here you see some money from Zimbabwe. Initially, that money often was made of something precious, perhaps silver or gold, but in the modern world, we've come off the gold standard, and really we're just banking on the trust of that government. And as you can see with this $100 billion note from Zimbabwe, if the government's trust and faith erodes, you can end up with hyperinflation and your money will be basically worthless, which will throw you back to commodity money or barter. So something catastrophic really destroys the value of fiat money. In the case of this Roman coin, it's still valuable because it appears to be made of a precious metal, but most of our money today is not made of anything particularly precious. The final type of money is representative money. This type of money came about when long-distance trade began. So it's hard to carry gold bars long distances, but also if you've ever been a tourist anywhere, you notice that you stand out. Or if you've ever seen tourists anywhere, you notice that they stand out. And so robbery was pretty common. So one thing that the tourists were able to do was to get a check, or today we use credit cards. The Medici actually started this because they were big traders and they needed to keep money in separate places. So they would give a check that would say, pay the bearer this amount. We promise that they have it in our vault back in Italy. They would come to England, give the check over to another Medici bank branch, and would be reimbursed in gold or pounds or whatever the appropriate currency would be in the place. And that worked really well. And the thing about a check, though, is it's backed by a bank rather than a government. So it's money that's backed by somebody, but a government is traditionally more stable. So this money is traditionally much more trustworthy, fiat money, than bank money. In the United States, we're fortunate that our banks are also backed by our government through the FDIC. Checks are similar. They often are run through a bank, so they're backed by a bank, which in turn is backed by the government. Excuse me, not checks, credit cards are backed by banks, which are in turn backed by government. So they represent this fiat money, these dollars that we have. But should the government collapse, banks, if they have some gold bricks in the back, might be more trustworthy. If they don't, and they probably don't, then this money is going to be pretty ineffective. This money, again, would be less effective unless it's made of something precious. And we'll move back to commodity money and even barter. So you can see the stronger and more complex a government gets, the different types of currency that they use. But to review, representative currency, money that stands in for either fiat or commodity money. In the modern world, it stands in for fiat money. Way back in the day, in the times of the first checks, it stood in for commodities like gold. Fiat money, money that is backed by a government. Commodity money, money that has intrinsic value, so it's something that you could use and consume yourself. Sometimes it is perishable, which made it not very effective. And barter, which is trade without money or currency at all, so you're trading an item for an item. Hope this helps.